Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to this master class. Medyo ang weird pag sinasabi ko yung master class. I really don't consider myself as an expert. I'm like you. I'm still trying to learn what I need to learn, and I'm looking forward to learn from you as well, from what you'll be asking or what you'll be sharing related to my experience. So for now, I'd like you to look at that picture. That picture is actually where I'm studying right now. It's a part of our campus called the Bakayama. Bakayama in Japanese means stupid mountain. Yeah. And it's called rightly so because of a certain belief, which is very similar probably to what students believe. An urban legend in UP. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they say that if you take a photo uh, with ablation before graduating, then that will probably have a negative implication on your actual graduation. And that's actually the same thing that I've heard when they talked about that. You see those small hills there? Those are the Bakayama. Many students like to hang around this area because it's very, the weather is usually nice when it's autumn or springtime. So I invite you to visit us if you're free. But then when you stay too long, they say that that might mean that you won't be able to graduate on time. And I actually like staying there a lot, so I hope that it's not true for me. And the other reason why I displayed it is because it's the centerpiece of my project. So I'm doing research now on immersive technologies for teaching and learning. So in general, one of my case studies will be something that will delve in sustainability science teaching. It's actually led by Professor Pulhin. The title of the course is Ecosystem Services, Forest Ecosystem Services, and Community Livelihood. Yeah, that's the title of the course. And so in the course of this talk, I'll be introducing immersive technologies and then eventually connecting why we thought of it as one of the tools that we will use for developing the online course. So again, I show this picture because one of the projects that we created, actually one of my colleagues from ICU, many people think of it as intensive care unit, but it's actually International Christian University. Jenny here, she's a graduate of DevCom as well, but we're now colleagues there. Hopefully we'll graduate soon together. And one of the projects that we did was a virtual tour of the campus. And I'm actually proposing a virtual tour as well for UPOU. So hopefully the next batch of students will be able to experience that as well, God willing. All right. So what is immersive technologies? I think for some of you, you have just heard of this term now, but for others, it's already being heard from several lectures or several papers, but it's more commonly known as XR. I think people now call it as XR. But there's still a debate regarding XR. That's why I didn't use XR, because people say that XR, cross reality, is a specific kind of mixed reality technology. But some people actually say that it's a spectrum of technology. So I will not delve into that. But immersive technologies is basically a category of tools that we can use, software and hardware tools. These are hardware and software systems that are used to basically provide immersion to participants, to human beings, in different levels of reality. So we actually have a spectrum of the reality is a spectrum, we believe. So many people actually designed like models of reality, starting from physical reality, which is where we are at right now. Sometimes philosophers would disagree. They will say that this is not actually reality, it's just what your brain is telling you. But well, for us, this is physical reality. And then on the other end of the spectrum is virtual reality, which is computer generated by information technology. So I'll probably talk about that first. RE, or reality, physical reality versus virtual reality. So virtual reality is a 360-degree or a computer-generated world that provides immersion to the user, to the spectator, or to the participant. The participant feels present in a certain degree when using a virtual reality device or a tool. So that's virtual reality. I think I'll be giving examples later so that you'll appreciate it more. This is one of the tools that you can use to experience virtual reality. This is called Oculus Go. It evolved from the original Oculus Rift, which is very bulky and expensive. You need a Windows computer to go with the Oculus Rift. I'm not selling this. I'm just telling you this is more convenient. If you're planning to do virtual reality projects or exhibits, this is a nice device to use, Oculus Go. I won't say the price. Later na lang, kasi baka parang nagmamarket ako. All right, and then we have, in the middle, we have two layers. The first one is augmented reality, which is closer to physical reality. And augmented reality is when there is a physical environment. In that environment, there are digital objects that are overlaid as if they're part of physical reality. And one very popular instance of an augmented reality application, especially for us millennials, no, I'm a Gen X person, as they've said, is Pokemon Go. Have you heard of it? Yeah. Interestingly, I think in the Philippines, it's usually Gen X and millennials who actually use or play with Pokemon Go. Who here has used Pokemon Go? Well, okay, so see? No baby boomers in the house? Okay. But interestingly, okay, so hindi ko natatanungin. Interestingly, in Japan, it's very popular among the baby boomers. I can see a lot of senior citizens there while going home on the bus, on the train. They're trying to catch Pokemon. You can see it because of the movement of their hands. They try to do it a lot. And then when they try to peek, you can see they're using a Pokeball and trying to catch a Pokemon while waiting for their train stop. So it's really interesting per country, you know, how different generations can interact with technology. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we see something that's closer to virtual reality. So in Japanese, we say hantai, like the reverse. AV, or augmented virtuality, is the reverse of AR in a sense that the environment, instead of being physical, is virtual. So it's a virtual environment. So you'll be assumed to be using this, or maybe you're in a room called a cave. But you're actually overlaying real objects, like a pencil, for example. And that pencil, or maybe a cup, interacts with a virtual environment. That's kind of difficult to implement, don't you think so? That's why AV is not that popular, because I think it's very, very difficult to implement. And then there's what we call mixed reality. Again, mixed reality is still under debate, the term, because many people use mixed reality in the context of this spectrum. They say that the spectrum, including AR and AV, are mixed reality because, you know, it's logical. When you mix digital and virtual, then it's mixed. So they call it mixed reality. But then there's this company that actually popularized a notion of a new kind of reality, which is mixed reality. This company is popularly known as Magic Leap. Most startups in the US are based in California, right? Bay Area. But this technology startup is actually based in Florida. And they're very secretive. They actually, if you've seen some of their videos, they really look promising. But then, until now, we don't see any real prototypes. I don't know if you've seen any of their prototypes yet, but they have a lot of videos on YouTube. So I want you to just watch the video first, and eventually we can talk about it. Okay? Okay. So the key word there is trick. Basically, it tricks your brain into believing that the overlaid digital objects are real. That's how MR, as they've said, is different from AR. Because AR can definitely do that, right? You overlay digital objects over physical reality or physical environments. But then what MR does is it has a way of making your brain believe that it's actually real. It's part of of physical reality. And this is, I don't think that this is the perfect example of one of their prototypes, but this is I know that there are some Star Wars fans here. This is what they did. So that's just a sample of one of their products. They tried to overlay C3PO and R2D2 onto the environment, the room. Hopefully we can see more of their products in the future, and that will actually improve the interpretive experience that participants will have if we'll be able to use this for some of our courses, and especially in sustainability science. All right. So now we're done defining the different layers of the reality spectrum. What I am actually interested in is just the virtual reality part. Actually, even within the virtual reality part, I'm not going to understand all of the instances of it, just a particular subset of it. Or maybe it's not even a subset. It's something similar to virtual reality, but it's called 360-degree media. Are you familiar with 360-degree media? I called it media because it includes photos, 360 photos, and 360 videos. And even, of course, it comes with audio, stereos. And why did we want to learn more about immersive tech in learning and in teaching and learning? Of course, a lot of, I think you've seen this in some of your readings, but many of these theories support the capabilities of immersive tech. And they actually give us this notion that, oh, maybe it will really help us give a more holistic experience to students, especially those who are learning via a distance mode. And of course, we know the constructivist learning theory, where we say that, of course, there are two kinds of that, right? The first one says that we learn from experience, from interacting with our environment. Also, we learn from interacting with other people. And also, experiential learning is an extension of one of those two branches of the constructivist theory that says that you learn from experience. When you are experiencing a certain phenomenon, then you learn more from it by reflecting and then by synthesizing your experience and then applying that as well. That's called the Kolb cycle. Yeah. And then there's also situated learning and then motivated learning, just-in-time learning. Another nice thinker that I've read who encourages immersive technology and even gaming in learning. He's one of the authors of flow, the theory of flow. And he says that flow is actually when someone is in the zone or on the ball, when you're so immersed or so focused on the thing that you're doing. And that actually happens when the activity provides an environment for the student or the learner or the participant where he or she does not feel anxiety or they have a low level of anxiety and a low level of boredom. So somewhere in that area, you can experience flow. And many people believe that immersive technology can actually bring people there as well, too. But then there are also another side of the group that says that it might not actually happen. I will talk about that later, why. So for us who are enthusiasts, who are believers of mixed, augmented, and virtual reality or immersive tech, we feel that from the things that we've read and from the projects that we've done so far that this may help. These technologies, or integrating these technologies in our courses, may help in the understanding of content. They can also improve retention. If you think of cognitive load, it can actually it can bring less load to your brain because of the different streams of they call it memory, working memory. Yeah, they can actually make use of different streams of working memory, and then they may improve task performance and increase learning engagement. So that's what we are hoping that they can bring. But then we have to be skeptical about it as well. Some papers that I've read talked about cyber sickness. It's a feeling that's similar to nausea. It's actually nausea. They say that it's nausea, but it's more particular with the devices that we use. When you actually wear this, some people feel really dizzy. Some people just a bit. And that's what we call cyber sickness. And they say that it's more prevalent among women. They say that it's more prevalent. So we'll test later, okay? Maybe you might like to try it. And it's not really recommended to be used by people with epilepsy because of the, I don't know, it can trigger attacks. So we always put that as a warning in the activities that we. So we have to be very equitable in our activities. There should be another option. If we plan to use immersive tech for some activities, we have to have plan B for people who can't experience it. Actually, among children, right now, educational institutions are very conservative in implementing immersive tech in the classrooms. But I've met a lot of teachers in Japan, which is one of the most conservative in terms of implementing technologies in the classroom. Some teachers are actually using it already in the classroom. Of course, another limitation could be the budget. You know, if you want to use it for a class of maybe 50 students, then you might have to think again because you don't know how much you'll be spending. But then there is also what we call Google Cardboard. Have you heard of this? Google Cardboard. I think it's just $5. So if the school has budget, then they can probably use that. But then it won't work well without a good phone. So you'll have to also think of that consideration. There are things that you can use if you want to dabble into this technology. You don't have to be a programmer. Good news, you don't have to be a programmer to be able to create your own immersive experience, your own immersive tour. And actually, most of my colleagues who helped me do this tour didn't know anything about programming. We just used a certain app that I'll be showing later. It's called Story Spheres. But I'll be giving you some options. So these are like the common options: Unreal Engine for the 3D models, Unity 3D, Blender. A-Frame is very common. It's used in web VR. And there's Adorable. I don't know if it's still alive, but the site is for teachers. It's for teachers to create virtual worlds for their students. The same creator of Adorable, Gabe Baker, has moved to a new company, and they're creating a virtual world creator app for non-programmers. It's called Visible. I'll be showing the tutorial later. But for now, I want to showcase Story Spheres. So that's Story Spheres. And you don't need any programming skill for using this. It's very, very basic. This is Adorable. It's more on the 3D side, right? Computer graphics. And then another one, the newer one, is Visible.
Welcome to Visible.
So as you can see, it's very easy to do. You don't really need to do any scripting. So I suggest that if you're interested in trying it out, you can just go to their website, Visible. It's free for now, so you can still test it. But then the problem is, if you want to experience what you've created, you'll need a more sophisticated device. You can't really view the world that you've created using normal cardboard. You have to have an Oculus Rift. But then if you're just into creating, then you can try it out. All right. Okay, so those are the tools that you can use for creating your virtual tour. I would suggest if you'd like to create a story, like a 360-degree story, you can start with story spheres. And then for the device that you can use to capture the 300, I think that's important, to capture the 360-degree photo or video. For photos, you can actually use a normal phone, a normal smartphone with 360-degree feature or panoramic feature. But then for videos, you'll need a more specific device. There are two common devices that you can choose from. One is by Samsung. It's called Gear 360. Gear 360. And then the other one is Ricoh Theta. I think the latest is SC. Jebel here has a sample of the SC. We're going to use this for the UPOU virtual tour and for the ecosystem. It's very small, as you can see. And once you just click it, it takes the whole 360-degree photo of this room. And if you do the video mode, then it takes the 360-degree version of video of the room as well. I'll give you a sample of what we've taken in Korea. There's one Korean here, right? Thank you, Jebel. Again, I'm not selling this, but if you're interested in how much it is, we can talk about it. Hindi po ako nagbebenta. just for helping people, basically. All right, so we're done with the tools that you can use. Now, I think you're more interested in the application of immersive tech. How can you apply it in teaching and learning for DevCom students, for DevCom practitioners? You're more interested in how to communicate, to present, to tell stories using immersive tech. Actually, it's being used a lot by journalists, especially when they want to tell stories about refugees, about the environment as well. There are certain teachers that I've met who are teaching writing classes, and they want their students to not just engage with a certain story in the cognitive level. They want them to be more emotionally involved. So if they want to do that, if they want to create empathy, then they use 360-degree videos. I will show you one instance of that. But for now, let's look at what Google did. It's called Google Expeditions. Have you heard of it? Google Expeditions is a very popular tool for classrooms. Because in Google Expeditions, it's like the teacher is leading a tour group. Everyone is in that tour, and the teacher can actually direct where the students should look. And this is one of the materials that one of the writing teachers used in her class in Japan. As you can see, the sentences are really simple, right? So it's a very nice material for for beginners in writing the English language. So that's why she used it. And at the same time, it actually created empathy among the students. And with empathy, it actually can impact their behavior and their beliefs, especially if you're talking about the refugees, especially about the environment. If you want them to be more concerned, to be more aware of the environment, then it's probably a good technology to use for that. And that actually gave us the idea of using immersive tech for the course ecosystem services. And last would be this. This is a very interesting video. It's about the Amazon forest. It's called Under the Canopy. It's really compelling, don't you think so? So this is our model. Basically, this is what we want to do for our course as well. And the forest that, of course, that will be showcasing are Philippine forests in our case. What projects have we done so far? The project that I did so far with my colleagues is the campus tour, as I've said earlier, in ICU. Later, maybe we can look at it because we don't have time, as well, I think. And then we're planning to do one for the Open University. And we'll be talking about, I think Professor Pulhin will be talking about the course later when he, when he reacts to my presentation, the Forest Ecosystem Services and Community Livelihoods course, which is a course that's being developed in partnership with UBC and with other Chinese universities. So yeah, basically we talked about how immersive tech can be a potential tool for learners, for distance learners to be immersed, to experience environments that could compel us to be more concerned and to be more responsible stewards of our environment. And with that, I actually want to end this presentation. I hope that you can also join us if you want to learn more about this. Um, we'll have a forum in Kyoto, Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. I believe that it'll be free. It's free admission, so you just have to buy your tickets, maybe. But it's a workshop. It's basically a showcase of applications of MAVR for teaching and learning. Pwedeng via VR din. Ayan. So thank you very much for your attention.